Okay.
Good morning. We will
Good morning.
turn it over now in the very capable hands of our city clerk.
This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, October 6th. Please stand for our invocation led by Pastor Jeff Calhoun, Bayside Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another opportunity to come to you in prayer. God, help us to never forget that this invocation is more than a formality, but it's a show of our dependability upon you. We thank you for answering our prayers and placing us in these positions of leadership. We thank you for your blessings upon us, our families in Mobile. We thank you, God, help us to hear your voice and discern your will as we lead our beautiful city during these very difficult times. Thank you for your wisdom, your knowledge, your love, and your protection. We ask these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen and amen. God bless you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, President Manzi,
Here.
Vice President Small,
Here.
Councilmember Richardson,
Here.
Councilmember Williams,
Here.
Councilmember Dave,
Here.
Councilmember Rich,
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning. In
Good morning.
response to national, state, and local guidance due to the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the Alabama Open Meetings Act and the Governor's Supplemental Emergency Proclamation, we are meeting remotely. While we are all in different places, we are able to participate as if we were all in the council chambers at City Hall. And in keeping with the requirements of the Alabama Open Meetings Act, the public is still able to observe the meeting through the live stream. All items we will discuss or we will address during this meeting are either necessary to respond to COVID-19 or necessary to perform essential minimum functions of the city. The public is still able to present comment to the council by emailing them to cityclerk@cityofmobile.org up to 30 minutes prior to the meeting. Public comments, which will be acknowledged as received during the meeting and distributed to council members and included in the meeting minutes. As always, the meeting is live streamed and can be viewed through the city's Facebook website or Facebook page. Again, thank you for joining us and thank you for your interest in your municipal government.
Approval of minutes of September 29th.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Communications from the mayor.
Good morning. It's good to see everybody this morning. Earlier during the pre-council meeting, I was on the phone with the governor, the mayors of Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, Dolphin Island, Bala Battery, Commissioner Carl, talking about Hurricane Delta. You may have been made aware that it's moved up to a Category 4 hurricane. It's anticipated that it will drop as it hits colder water in the Gulf of Mexico. That's certainly something we're hoping for, but the governor was wanting to make sure that they were responsive and responding to the needs and the desires of the mayors, along the coastal area. I think that she'll be issuing a declaration later today, possibly a couple of declarations later today, as more information becomes available about Hurricane Delta. Regarding Hurricane Sally, we are at a 50% level of picking up debris. At least that's as the debris that we have forecast that's on the ground. We have had discussions, though, there is a way to do more than what we're presently doing. And it's a little bit of a different idea. And that is that there now is there are a lot of bagged leaves along the edge of the rights of way, people's front yard. And for those that would like to have those bags removed and do not want to wait on the city services or the contractor to come move them, if you want to take those bags to either Seals Park or Langen Park in the area of the amphitheater and deposit your bags there, we will have a trailer where you can do it. So if you have a pickup truck and you want to move a couple of bags of leaves, just feel free to do so. And if the trailer that we have there overflows, we will pick them up off the ground. Again, that's Seals Park in the parking lot, which some people refer to as the Texas Street Park. And then also Langen Park, the amphitheater there. And the trailers will be there by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. And this is kind of an experiment to see how well this goes. And if it works, then we will maybe expand it to other locations. But there are things you can do to help us expedite getting the debris off the streets, and that is certainly one of them. Also, we have been notified, and I think it's out in the general public domain in the media, that the census has been extended. The census deadline has been extended until October 31st, giving us time to go into neighborhoods and apartment complexes and places maybe where we've not gotten a good count. Also like to point out that this is Domestic Violence Month. I think there are a lot of people that either have a purple ribbon on or possibly a purple tie. Mine, purple. And that is in support of our of those who are working for suppressing and working with those involved in domestic violence. I want to thank the City Council for approving the allocation of $300,000 to assist in rehousing and the stabilization services for domestic violence victims. In January, prior to COVID, we began Project Access. It was a domestic violence prevention and intervention initiative named it Decreasing Domestic Violence. We developed strategies, started implementing it, and next thing we knew, we were dealing with COVID. And like a lot of things that were going on at that time, it took a backseat. But now we are re-engaging in that process, hoping that we can shine light on this very important matter to reduce domestic violence in our community. So, Mr. President, those are all of my remarks at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. President,
Mr. Vice President.
yeah, I would like to ask the mayor a question. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Understand that you said that you are going to have some trucks to be delivered in the morning at Texas Street Park and also Langen Park. Is that going to be a press release? Because I've been getting a lot of phone calls to my office regarding the citizens talking about that debris is still in front of their homes because of the Hurricane Sally, and then we were approaching another hurricane, and so they have some concerns about the debris that's still, in front of their homes. So would this be like more as a press release to the news stations, because everybody's not on your social media, especially older people, for they can really just get aware of the trucks at James Seal and also Langen Park?
Right. So great question or great comment. And that is that, yes, we're working on a press release right now. We will send it to each of you so you could put it out through your channels of distribution. But there is no way that we will get all the debris up before the landfall of Hurricane Delta. And we just do not have the manpower to do it. And even in a best case scenario, you're looking at another 30 to 40, probably 30 days before, at least 30 days before it would all be picked up. Because what happens, we make a pass, we get stuff up, and then as they clean up a little bit more, we have to make another pass. So it's not going to happen in the next couple of weeks, but we are doing everything we can to get it up as quickly as possible. And they're doing a great job doing it, also, I'd add.
Mr. President,
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
If it be appropriate at this point, I would like to read the proclamation for domestic violence.
Absolutely.
Mr. President, I have a question for the mayor.
Mr. President, may I go ahead and declare this proclamation first?
Okay.
So, you ready? Okay, here we go. The proclamation reads, whereas domestic violence, once a secret kept in families, is now recognized as a serious crime that has severe consequences for the survivors, their children, their employers, and their communities. And whereas the problem of domestic violence are not confined to any group or groups of people, but cut across all economic, racial, and societal barriers and are supported by societal indifferences. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting the individuals and society as a whole, here in this community, throughout the United States and the world. And whereas almost 4 million women are physically abused by their husbands or boyfriends every year. And whereas stopping the cycle of this vicious crime requires not only the resolve and courage of survivors, but also the support and involvement of all of us. Now, therefore, we, members of the Mobile City Council, along with the mayor, in recognition of Penelope House's 40 years of service in our community, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Mobile, and urge all of our citizens to actively participate in the scheduled activities and programs, and to work toward improving victim safety and holding the perpetrators of domestic abuse accountable. Done at the city of Mobile, Alabama, this 6th day of October, 2020, signed by all members of the Mobile City Council. And Mr. President, we have Tony Ann Torrance here, and I think she would probably like to respond.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Glad to have you here. And thank you for all that you and your organization do for our community.
Thank you. And, you know, we all have had to make adjustments with COVID-19 and even with hurricanes. And Penelope House will continue to be available to victims of domestic violence no matter what. We appreciate the recognition and the understanding that there's two sides to the coin. It's the protection of victims, but also holding the victims accountable. So we appreciate working with law enforcement, with government, with community partners, all to make Mobile safer and more friendly for all the residents and all of your districts and throughout the county as well. So thank you for the recognition. And tonight, if all goes as planned, the RSA Tower should be lit purple as well.
Thank you,
That's
Tony.
great. That's great.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
well, no, if Tony is still on, that I finish what she has to say.
She's done.
Sir?
I see Tony is still on. She's done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You told us at pre-council that the mayor would furnish us some information regarding those two gentlemen who made some requests to the council, and you all turned that over to the mayor, and he was going to respond by 10:30. I checked my email and I haven't seen anything.
Well, let me, I will correspond with him because it was supposed to be in writing and ask that would be disseminated as quickly as possible. So as soon as I am in receipt of it, or if anyone else is in receipt, just let us know. But I know that was the intention.
Okay,
let's-
can we
I was going to wait to hear what they had to say, and then
Okay.
in case I needed to adjust my response. But so I have, let's say, a partial written response, which we'll be glad to share after we've heard from them and give it to y'all.
Sound like a winner. That's a plan. Thank you. Madam City Clerk?
Okay, at this time, we're going to, we'll hear from David Clark and, Jeb Shell.
All right, this is a little bit different on Zoom. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. David,
Good
can we
morning.
tee it up and I hand it off to you?
Sure. I think I've lost my video connection.
Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
We
We
can.
can hear you.
Good. Well, good morning, Mr. President, City Council, and everybody. It's good to be with you today. We're excited about this opportunity. We have been collaborating on a billboard campaign with Hargrove, the Downtown Alliance, Lamar, Councilwoman Gregory, and Mayor Stimpson. And thank you, Jeb Shell, for being the hub of this collaboration. The purpose of the billboard campaign is to thank the many states and their teams that helped to restore Mobile with power and to get us going again. And so quickly after Hurricane Sally, we're very grateful for the numerous power companies, the linemen, the crew, for their sacrifices and tremendous extra effort and their friendship in restoring us. Billboards have been identified in Birmingham, Gulfport, Biloxi, Atlanta, Charlotte, Macon, and Mobile at really, really great rates. We are working on the thank you billboard messaging and the imagery for those billboards. The Downtown Alliance is working on a GoFundMe for an individual donation campaign. This should be live over the next 24 hours, and we have a goal to raise about $10,000 to $15,000. Hargrove Engineers plus Constructors are leading the corporate donation ask, hoping to raise about $10,000 to $15,000. The projected cost for the billboard campaign is $45,000. The campaign will run for 12 weeks in the above markets that I just mentioned, and it's projected that about 23 million people will see the billboard thank you. Several messages will be rotating on the digital billboards, sort of like some ideas are thank you for lighting up Mobile. Mobile is brighter because of you, so on and so forth. In addition to that billboard, thank you, Visit Mobile is working with the lodging, attraction, and restaurant communities for their offer through December 31 of this year to invite these linemen, the crews, and the companies to visit Mobile and enjoy the many amazing things that we have to offer. We've actually identified over 50 company contacts that helped us during Sally. We're going to mail those companies the lodging and attraction and restaurant offers, and they're going to include them in their websites and in their newsletters. So we're going to create a landing page on our website at mobile.org with those opportunities as well. So we're hopeful that the city council will contribute about $10,500 and the mayor's office $1,500. And we just thank you for your time, your leadership, and your consideration.
Jeb?
Yep. And Mr. President, Council, again, thank y'all for letting us come today to pitch this. This has really been an exciting thing. We kind of had a lot of big swell on Facebook about it, people saying, sign me up. So it is going to be a good combination of citizens, individual citizens, corporate citizens. And as David said, that amount from the council, about $1,500 per council, the mayor's office is putting $1,500 in. And really the split that we're looking at and targeting right now, which I'm very, very confident. From a corporate standpoint, we've already raised half of that goal without even asking anybody yet. But this looks right now at the minimum of a 54 private, 46 city split on the funding. And I think that shows very well for everybody. I think we can raise more than that. And this is a win-win-win for the city, for the linemen and the crews, and for those who want to say thank you for getting us back online. So I appreciate David's office, the mayor, and Gina for doing everything they've done to help kind of pull this together and get us on the agenda today. There is a timing thing because we're getting hot into the political season. Obviously, we're in the thick of it. So we really need to put order in on these boards pretty soon so that we can get them in the locations. As David mentions, 22 million views over these 12 weeks. So we kind of need to move quick. and before we get further away from people forgetting that they were out of power. But with Delta bearing down on us, possibly, I think people will remember it pretty quick. So we appreciate the opportunity, and we really hope y'all will consider this. And like I said, it's a win from every side.
Mr. President,
Ms. Gregory?
yeah, really a big thanks goes to Jeb because he is the hub, as David said. He has spearheaded this effort and brought us all together. And we have then taken our roles and, moved forward, gone very quickly, as a matter of fact. So big thank you, Jeb, for starting this off. And as David mentioned, it's not just a billboard to say thank you. I mean, that's important that we say thank you to these crews, but also we're getting something else out of it at the same time, which is to ask these crews to come back to Mobile to visit us when there's not a storm going on, when they can come and enjoy the city. So it's a way of saying thank you, but also come back to see us. And some of the messaging will say that. We're looking at the out-of-town crews as well as, of course, Alabama Power. So the billboards will go up and they will get that message out there. And we just look to see a lot of folks coming to Mobile to enjoy what we have to offer here. And as I think Jeb or David mentioned, the areas where these billboards will be located are also part of our drive-to market for the cruise industry. So it just really works out very well, I think, for all the areas concerned. Carol Hunter is involved in setting up the GoFundMe page, and they will send that out to all of us so that we can see it. But for us, they are asking each of us for $1,500 from our discretionary accounts. And I said, well, guys, the news is good. We just passed our brand new budget. So we all have a healthy discretionary account. And I'm the first one on board, and the mayor was the second one on board. So I am waiting for everybody else here today to jump on and say, you're in.
I'm in.
Yeah. I have a question, Gina. If you know the
good.
logistics on this, do we send it to the Downtown Alliance? Do we send it to the convention center? Where do you think? Because it's obviously a timeline. And so
Right.
if you can give us some direction on that for the placement of the discretionary funds, the 1,500.
Initially we were talking about sending it to Visit Mobile. David, is that still the best location for us to send our check from the city?
I think so, Councilman Gregory. Yes, thank you.
And that-
Eddie, sort that.
That's an easy transfer. So
Right. That makes it very easy. So, okay. All right. Thank you.
So I think we had all 7 members, David and Jeb. Everybody on board? Raise your hand. Everybody? CJ, do I see your hand? Fred, Bess, Joel, John, great.
Perfect. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all so much. Thank
Good to
you.
see
And Jeb, it's good to see you. You have been in my thoughts and prayers. Jeb is my leadership Mobile classmate, a great guy. And I'm glad to see that you're back active and you will continue to be in my prayers.
Thank you. Well, keep them coming because they work, and it sure is good to be seen. So
That's good.
thank you. Thank you all again very much.
Thank you.
Madam City Clerk?
Okay. Adoption of the agenda.
I move the adoption of the agenda and that we declare all items listed on the agenda as essential COVID-19 items, essential COVID-19.
Second. Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on October 17th at Memorial Park.
So move.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to consider the vacation of a portion of South Conception Street west of Metro Jail and a portion of St. Emmanuel Street east of Metro Jail.
Is there anyone here that would like to offer any commentary for these particular public hearings?
Mr. President, we do have the county attorney on. two county commissioners on also.
And they're more than welcome to offer any commentary that they would want to offer relative to this particular public hearing. Mr. Ross, I don't know
Yes,
which.
sir. Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Manzi. We can hear you. I would also, in addition to Commissioners Ludgood and Carl, who are on Zoom in their offices, in my office, we have County Commissioner Hudson and, of course, Sheriff Cochran with me. So all three county commissioners are present. We do thank the City Council for allowing this county and Sheriff's Department a few minutes to give the council an overview of what is asked for by the county. There are two petitions to vacate portions of streets before you today for this public hearing. One is South Conception Street. The other one is a part of St. Emmanuel Street. For purposes of illustration only, South Conception Street is the road running north-south behind the Metro Jail and parallel essentially to Interstate 10. And we are asking that the City Council consider at its appropriate time to vacate that street from just south of what's called Palmetto southward to Savannah Street. There was one property owner, not a government entity, named Terry and Pamela McLeod, and they have consented to the vacation of the road. The second road the county is asking to be vacated is part of St. Emmanuel Street, and it's that part of the road between the Metro Jail and the barracks. Just south of Charleston Street, also down to Savannah Street. The purpose that the county is asking this to occur is so that as many of you know, is that you have a color photograph, I believe it's in your packet, supplied by the city clerk. County is adding in the blue area what's called a new addition, which is essentially a new Sally Port and a new area for the docketing room. And that is done to enlarge things. The only place the county could go was south. It's a vacant land owned by the county for this purpose. The reason we need the roads vacated is essentially for the public safety of all our law enforcement. That's the Mobile PD, the Sheriff's Department, jail staff, detainees, everybody in the immediate area. Over the last many years, there was at least one police officer that was killed at this old Sally Port. And after much review by the county and its conducting of a study by the National Institute of Jail Operations in 2015, the county engaged an architectural firm called PH&J Architects, and we have come up with an area that we think will markedly improve public safety and keep people that respectfully don't need to drive in this area out of this area. The piece of paper you have in front of you has some yellow hash marks, and those hash marks in yellow area are where the new perimeter fence will be. And there'll be gated access for ingress and egress into the Sally Port and out. The area on South Conception Street will be limited to deliveries and will reduce. There have been many instances where people, and the sheriff is here to speak about it, have thrown contraband over the fence. And so this will help that. And also the area from the jail to the barracks right now, when inmates go across from one to the other, Sheriff's Department, corrections officer, deputies, they're now crossing a public street. By the vacation of the street and the area being fenced in, that will help markedly with the security. I have with me today also Tyler Martin, who's a county engineer, director of facilities and maintenance. He can give you give y'all just a little bit more information about all that, and I'll let that happen in a minute. But the main area is to protect the public safety. We have spoken to Public Safety Director Barber. I spoke to him again yesterday, and he is aware of the plan and fully supports it. Based on the budget that the county had to spend on this, we collectively believe, all three commissioners, the sheriff, and the engineering firm, that this is the best way to accomplish this. There could be some entities that may have some opposition to it. In a matter of complete disclosure, we are aware of a bonding company, two, that didn't like the plan, but there was no way to accommodate everybody's needs based on the overriding public safety concerns. There may be some travel through vehicular traffic on St. Emmanuel Street. We know that can be routed around onto Royal Street by going on Charleston Street and coming back around. The city has asked for some easements, non-exclusive easements over the vacated streets to accommodate city use and utilities in the area. We have covered all of that, and to the best of our knowledge, information, believe, I want to speak for City of Mobile staff, we have satisfied them. We do have a matter for the Planning Commission. I've been told by Doug Anderson that if the city council agrees to vacate, then that subdivision, that property will occur, and that will make everybody happy at the Planning Commission level. So that is an overview of it. I'd like to give it over to Tyler Martin just for a few minutes to give y'all a bit more highlight on the details of the Sallyport and related facilities where the electronic gates will be. And then we'll let Sheriff Cochran speak a few minutes, and then each of
Mr. Ross.
Yes, sir.
Let me just, we've assigned both of these items to committee. And Gina Gregory is chair of the Administrative Services Committee, and she will be announcing a committee date in the very near future. So, while we certainly appreciate all of the overview now, we will have a committee where all of this really could be gone through in even greater detail so that everybody's on the same page.
Okay, well, that's fine, Mr. Manzi, and I at least apologize. We listened to the 9 o'clock meeting. We thought it was a public hearing, or at least we could.
Well, it is.
It is.
And I'll be brief and I'll be quiet. Lawyers like to talk too much. And
No. If we want to hear, if any of our county commissioners, especially my county commissioner, the Honorable Monsieur Ludgood, would like to speak, we'll certainly listen. I just wanted to make certain you all were aware that we have assigned this to committee so that this isn't something that was stop and start today. Is all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll be quiet. At least let the commissioners speak if they'd like to. Do y'all want any more information on the details? If not, I'll let the sheriff have a few words and each of the commissioners.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Manzi.
Council President Manzi and council members and Mayor Stimson, this has been the planning in a long time, over several years, to the need to advance and enhance the safety of the jail and the ability to take care of the prisoners while at the same time keeping the corrections officers safe, and also working with the Department of Justice, who has been looking at the jail for far longer than my tenure, 14 years. And so over the last several years, working with the county attorneys, the county commissioners, and engineers, trying to come up with a design that would alleviate the concerns of DOJ and fix many of the problems we've had historically. And now with the threat of the pandemic in the jail, this gives us even more cause to need to do this for a public safety thing. The Council Ross mentioned the Sallyport, where your Officer Green was murdered a few years ago. It's woefully too small for the amount of people coming in and out, and the docket room needs to be increased. And one of the main reasons for vacating the St. Emmanuel Street between the administrative, the between the main jail and the barracks is because we're going to change the barracks from a minimum security to a medium security jail. And you have constant movement of prisoners across that public road, and this would give us a secure environment to move the inmates back and forth. The vacating of the South Conception Street Road, many members of the public are able to access the fences there and throw dope and phones over the fence, and the inmates are able to beat holes out of the little windows and fish those items in and get them into the jail. Of course, we're concerned that if they can get those items in, they could also get a weapon or a gun. And so while we're combating that, and most recently this past weekend had to combat a planned drone attack to deliver some goods off of South Conception Street to the inmates in the jail. And while we thwarted it and may have been just a hoax, it may also have been an effort to protect our defenses. So I just would remind you that our corrections officers are unarmed guards, and we can't rely on them totally to protect it against some armed invaders. But that's kind of the thrust of it, and that's why we've reached this point. And I'm appreciative that the commissioners have taken this on and the cost on, and also at no cost to the city of Mobile. The one final thing I would say, I know some bonding companies may be opposed to it, but I'd also point out that the reason the bonding companies are there is because the jail was placed there 25, 30 years ago. They would not be there were it not for the jail. So it's the jail that drives the businesses of bonding companies and not the other way around. So thank you for your concerns.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate all that you do and all that you've offered. Any of our county commissioners?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
We can. Is this Mr. Carl?
Yes, it is. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you to all the councilmen that are on this call, and also the Zoom call, and the mayor. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to be very brief. If you have never been through the Sallyport and do a tour, I would highly encourage you to do so, because what you will see is some very, very tight parameters to move prisoners in and out. And of course, we had the situation where we had one of our own officers that obviously was killed there, and that may or may not have played a part in that death. But I would like to think if we can do this expansion, if we can expand our fences, build a larger Sallyport, that we can prevent it from happening again. I've been this is actually in my district, District 3, and I have been contacted by the business owners in that area also that are going to be affected. And I basically told them that I have to put our law enforcement officers' lives and the people that they're arresting, their safety first ahead of their business. And that's unusual coming from me, I know that. But it's very important that we can secure this area to keep drugs, weapons, dope, like the sheriff was talking about, from being thrown over the fence and actually brought into the jail. So I would beg you to really consider this. I know it's going before the committee, and I think Councilwoman Gregory has this on her committee. So please, if you haven't done a tour, let us get you in there and understand what type parameters that we're actually working with there and how we want to expand it. With that said, thank you for the job y'all do. It's a thankless job, and I tell people all the time that I wouldn't be a mayor or a city council member. It's such a thankless job, but thank y'all. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if
Yes,
I may,
ma'am.
this is Commissioner Hudson. Good morning, everyone. First of all, we appreciate the
morning.
opportunity to address you on this most important matter. And certainly no one can give more compelling reasons than Sheriff Cochran and his correctional officers. They live it every day. This is so critically important to what we need to do to improve safety. The Metro Jail and the campus, it's a dangerous place, and you all know that. You know that it's a different world at times, and it's incumbent upon us, I believe, as leaders of the city and the county, to work together to do whatever we can to make this the safest environment that it possibly can be. And so that is why this petition is before you. We hope that you will give it the utmost consideration and work with us as we move forward. This will be a slight delay on getting our fencing up but the construction work is ongoing right now, and these will provide improvements to the Sally Port and the intake areas. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Commissioner Hudson. Commissioner Ludgood.
I just like to just thank you for your consideration, and please know that our staff is ready to answer any additional questions or concerns that you may have about this issue.
Mr. President, if I may.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the commissioners and Sheriff and Jay for the presentation and for being with us this morning. Anything that can be additionally provided in writing would sure help as we prepare. Y'all know how much we receive and how much we have to digest, and this is an important issue. To us, I don't think that this is about what's going on in there, because we certainly agree with you that we need to make the improvements. And Emmanuel or St. Emmanuel Street, to me, is clear, is absolutely clear. I'm not quite there on Conception. And I just tell you that I've just got to study it and learn it. And so it's all new to us. So for me, that's my position right now. Thank y'all.
Mr. President.
Mr. Vice President.
Yeah, I would like to ask Councilman Williams, understand that you said you'll be out of town for the next 2 weeks and maybe want to really just go out there and see exactly, what it is. Councilman President, is it possible that for some of the council members that would like to go out there and probably take a tour? I know Commissioner Carl also stated, gave us a welcome letter to come also to go ahead and try to get that arranged right before the committee meeting or right before Councilman Williams get ready to go out of town or right when he get back. This is for everybody can just be all on one accord and for we know exactly what we're talking about.
I think that's a great idea, Mr. Vice President. And we'll ask our city clerk to arrange a time with the county commissioners so that those who are able to go and take that tour can do so.
Mr. President. Jay, and I see Commissioner Hudson and Sheriff Cochran in my little Zoom square there. In looking at when we hold this administrative services committee meeting, I don't want to push it so far out that it impedes your progress. We had planned to lay this over for 2 weeks. So if we lay it over for 2 weeks, we need to have a committee meeting and do the tour in between that time. So I hope that will be amenable to you all and it won't interfere with the ongoing work that you're doing.
We're told by our engineer that we can accommodate that. Would be happy to.
Okay, great. We'll set the committee meeting hopefully this afternoon or tomorrow, and we'll let you all know. And then of course our city clerk will be in touch with you all to set up a tour.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Mr. Richardson.
Yes. I just want the commissioners to know that I understand the gravity of your request. I also understand that many of those prisoners in the Mobile County Metro Jail were placed there by our own police officers. That is our jail too. We have no other jail but your jail. And those issues that is presented to you, we're facing those same issues. I am ready to move. I don't need no additional evidence to show that you all need additional space to keep the citizens safe and the prisoners safe also. I know we're going to have a committee meeting on this. My understanding is as such that I am ready to vote as soon as it's up to be voted on.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
If I could comment real fast.
Ms. Rich?
on Mr. Williams' schedule, is it a way that we could, I didn't get your exact schedule other than that you needed it to lay over for 2 weeks, but when would you be available to make the tour to get your questions answered? And then this committee could convene, which I'm a member of, and I'll certainly make myself available for the committee.
Actually, I don't know that it has to happen before the committee meeting. For some of you that will, I know enough about it. I just need to step on conception. And I need somebody there. The rest of it would be interesting to see, and I would certainly accept that. I don't want y'all to wait on me, but I'd like to see what the sheriff is talking about and the with regard to that road that parallels I-10. I personally like to see about a 40-foot fence that is decorative or is all silver and concealing of what is there. That would be an interesting concept and close it all. But I just need to understand the impact, and I just don't know. It's not that I'm opposed to it. I just simply don't know the impact of closing that road or the necessary move here. So I'm listening. In fact, I'm texting the sheriff right now, and I think it's probably going to be the 15th before I'm able to be downtown.
Thanks for that information.
Any further commentary? Anything else anyone would like to share?
I'll just say on behalf of the county, and I can't speak for the sheriff, but we and our team will be available at any time it's convenient for the council or those that want to come walk the site. We'll be sure we'll make our schedule available to y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. And we again appreciate the fine spirit of cooperation that still exists between the city and the county of Mobile. We've got to work together. That closes that particular public hearing.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 4350 and 4362 Government Boulevard, northwest corner of Government Boulevard and Polaris Drive from R1 to B2.
Is there anyone here that would like to participate during this particular public hearing? Not, public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 871 South Washington Avenue and 759 and 763 Pillins Avenue, east side of South Washington Avenue, 135 feet south of Pillins Avenue, extended to the south side of Pillins Avenue, 137 feet east of South Washington Avenue, from B3 and R2 to B3.
Is there anyone here that would like to participate during this particular public hearing? If not, the public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to declare the structures at 324 Lexington Avenue, 605 Hickory Street, 624 Crawford Lane, 1164 Fry Street, 1204 Texas Street, 1365 Congress Street, 104 Dolphin Street, and 1305, also known as 1303 South Ann Street, public nuisances, and ordering them demolished.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak during either of these public hearings? If not, the public hearings are closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. We have Dr. Richardson and Damian Marks regarding the Police Citizens Advisory Council here to address you.
Good morning.
Madam Clerk, you need to call one of them, not both.
Well, I have them, they're on. So this is, Damian Marks is on now.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Marks, are you ready? Mr. Marks, can you hear me?
Good day, God bless. I'm here, City Clerk Lambert. This is Dr. Richardson.
Oh, okay, Dr. Richardson is on.
Mhm.
You're echoing, Dr. Richardson?
I'll fix it.
Damian Marks is on now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was observing the city council proceedings via YouTube until you allowed us into the room. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ms. Lambert.
Okay, so, will both of you be speaking or just one of you?
I'll start off. If there's any need for questions that I'm unable to answer, Mr. Marks is available to respond. And
Okay.
should something that arises in the course of my my talk, then he's certainly able to chime in.
Okay, so, will you please give us your name and address and we'll start the clock.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Dr. Raul Richardson, 650 Clinic Drive, Mobile, Alabama. I'm the president of the Mobile Police Citizens Community Relations Advisory Council. Firstly, we would like to thank the council for allowing us to speak today and to the administration for providing us the amazing platform that enables community members like ourselves and committee members such as myself to engage the council while providing information that is essential to our citizenry. For those who may not know me, once again, my name is Dr. Raul Richardson, and I am the president of the Mobile Police Citizens Community Relations Advisory Council. I was recently appointed to such, and we are very excited about the opportunity represented by this particular council. I'm here today to speak on their behalf, and I'm honored to reside in a city that has elected officials such as the city council that genuinely care about police and community relations. In recent months, we've observed horrific events across this nation surrounding police and community relations. And today we want to provide some kind of an update, so to speak, in terms of feedback for all of you to know what we've moved upon since the reestablishing of the ordinance. This body didn't just sit idly. However, we moved swiftly, responding by reactivating the Mobile Police Citizens Community Relations Advisory Council, and in an effort to bridge the gap between police and community relations. The premises of our appearance today is to provide the council, related officials, and community members, importantly as well, with an update on established plans, forecasted community engagements, additionally orientation and training with Mobile Police Department for Advisory Council members as indicated by the ordinance. On October 1st, 2020, the Advisory Council voted and unanimously agreed to the following. Please note that the forecasted dates relative to contingencies, like unfortunately Sally represented in the impending meteorological event that's represented by the Tropical Storm Delta, as well as these dates are of course dependent upon feedback we receive in terms of availability from Public Safety Director Barber and Mobile Police Department Baptiste. One, ride along with officers. Our expectation is, according to our current schedule, that we'll have this completed by November 21st, 2020. And we want to accompany officers and perform the ride-alongs throughout the 7 districts represented by the Mobile County City Council. We want to A, introduce the members to the officers, B, observe and listen to officers' concerns and develop an understanding of their responsibilities, establish relationships with those officers that will promote trust and build understanding between officers, community members, and the advisory council members. C, we want to learn and observe community dynamics and establish innovative plans and resolutions. Number 2, while we've agreed to the ordinance stipulation relative to the ride-along, we also want to encourage consideration for what we call the walk-along with officers. Also expected date of completion by November 21st, 2020 as well. We're seeking to accompany officers and perform walk-alongs, as we've entitled them, throughout the 7 districts of Mobile, where A, will introduce members to the citizenry, B, listen to community member concerns, establish relationships with those individuals that will promote trust and build understanding between officers, community members, as well as our advisory council members. And
Mr. Richardson, your time has expired.
Okay. Can we address that to allow me at least another moment or two to finish this? There's only another couple of sentences.
Let's allow him one additional moment, please.
Thank you.
Dr. Richardson, if you could, you'll have that additional 60 seconds.
Appreciate it. I'll wrap it up quickly. And then finally, prior to walk along, we will notify community members as to scheduled dates by which local media, newsletters, church, and community leaders can receive that information for dissemination to the public. The orientation and training with the MPD, we also expect to complete by November 21st, 2020, and become educated on officer training while developing a greater understanding of their duties as well as local and federal laws. B, become educated about standard operating procedures and policies and procedures. C, identify necessary improvements that can cater to better police and citizen interaction. And D, finally, to meet with the chief of police and safety director and make suggestions for improvements. The advisory council has reviewed and dissected the ordinance titled 09-044. In the current ordinance that governs our body, we've highlighted necessary areas that require modifications and additions and made corrective and suggestions where needed. Our council is preparing to provide you with a list of suggestions and findings in the coming weeks, and we're confident that this council will review and approve said changes swiftly, for it is set to expire January 1st, 2021. So again, thank you for allowing me to speak. I look forward to your continuous support and appreciate the opportunity to make a difference in our city and the area of police and community relations. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Richardson, and to Mr. Marks, and to all of the citizens who have devoted their time to achieve this great goal and this great mission. We had, as we discussed in pre-council meeting, the vice president and I had a hour-long meeting on Friday with both Vice President Marks and with Dr. Richardson, and we have disseminated those requests and the things that you brought to our attention to the administration. The mayor wanted an opportunity to hear your presentation today, and then we will get a response, hopefully in short order, in writing. So again, thank both of you for your time and for your attention and for your interest in this great subject matter.
Thank you.
Madam City Clerk.
Okay. And next we'll have Reggie Hill regarding agenda items 0232, 08713, 31718, 6732, 08740 and 744, and 08751.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Council President, members of the council, Mayor Stimson, citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good morning. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I rise today to address those matters that were communicated to you by the city clerk. 032. Last week, I was the only person, only councilor from the public to address this ordinance. During that presentation, I suggested my agreement with our finance committee chairman that the city of Mobile was in its best position to provide a raise for elected officials. However, there were many more priorities that our city needs to tend to before giving a pay increase outside of city employees. Nonetheless, after observing today's pre-council meeting, it seems evident that there will be enough support to pass the ordinance. I agree with the assessment made by the distinguished councilor from District 1 that serving on the council is far more than a part-time job. Needless to say, in one of the 7 districts, many of us feel we probably don't even have part-time representation. So I would just suggest that if this ordinance is to pass, that it should reflect the requirement for greater transparency, commitment to our committee's productivity and positive effectiveness, and an increase of resources distributed to both individuals and agencies within the various council districts for problem-solving activities that improve public safety and increase accessibility to needed resources, both physical and fiscal. We gave away more than $110,000 just last week that could have went towards these initiatives. 08-713, seeing that parks and recs have been placed under the umbrella of public works, is there a specific reason why this line item wasn't designated as additional equipment for the public works department? We totally need the means to keep up the grass and keep it level at the parks. I frequent varying parks weekly throughout District 2, and the level of upkeep needs attention at times. So I agree with it, but I just want to know why it was listed separately. 31718. what information was provided to the council by the administration regarding the HUD PY 2020 action plan? We said that we would get some additional material. I would just like to be privy to that. 60-732. I believe that it's extremely obvious why the budget reflected allocations the way in which it was approved. Honestly, though, I believe that position is influenced more by members of the administration rather than just the mayor alone. Still, this is not a good look for the city as a whole. I hope that the council will respond accordingly. We must remember two things at least. Number one, we are definitely in a fiscal state in which we can support this amendment. And finally, number two, this is the people's money. You all are simply momentary stewards of that, and I hope that we act accordingly. And for those last measures, 08740 through 744 and 08751, weeks ago, the administration basically ensured the public that by October 5th, the debris would be collected by Sally. I thought this was kind of misleading, seeing that we don't have enough equipment in our inventory to address these inconveniences. So I was not surprised when our mayor emailed citizens last night proclaiming that 40% of the debris had been collected. Yet today, like many months consistently, we see a plethora of equipment purchases that are not priority. So I just encourage this council to fully examine this and reconsider how to appropriate those resources. Thank you so much for yielding the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Okay. Essential COVID items held over. 02032, ordinance to establish salaries for the City of Mobile elected officials for the term beginning November 2021.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms.
Thank
Rich?
you. I know I gave you my thoughts for an amendment and didn't get any concurrence that it would be seconded. So I will not be offering an amendment that will go flat. But again, I would just like to state the council jobs are part-time. I realize and understand the need for an increase. I also understand that we should look at our salary ranges within the City of Mobile. And a police officer starts at about 32, I believe, right now for a full-time job. And the council's entertaining a $44,000 salary range that also contains, it's put together by a monthly stipend and also the per meeting and also an expense account. I think that's a lot of encumbered things because the expense account is never really, there is no oversight with that expense account amount. There's no directives on it. It just says for routine local expenses. So I don't know how one would itemize that, although I know it's been on the books. And also the monthly meeting going significantly up per meeting. Having the president make additional funding I think is a wise thing. There is more to do as the president of a council, but I'll end by saying that this is not something that will happen the day after it's voted on by law. It is not put into effect until the next election cycle. So I want citizens to understand that, but I think there's a lot of optics to taking a part-time job and actually getting remuneration that is more than your starting police. And that was something in 1997 when I was asked to look at an increase from 1985, which started out, I think, at about 11,000. It didn't have all the components in it. And that's where the salary has been. So I understand the drag in time. But if you looked at another way to do this, you could perhaps incorporate some increases that didn't have to come before council by putting it towards a salary that was improved. And because the council sets the salary, that's by law, and it didn't say whether it would be per meeting or whether it was monthly or annual. There were no dynamics to it that was added. So, again, I really think you have to look at the fact that it's considered a part-time job no matter what. And if it needs to become a full-time job, that's something where you could lobby for and make it something that the citizens go back and amend the bill or your State House can do that if it's not, doesn't require an election to do that. But there's just a lot of dynamics to taking such an increase that I know you work very hard for your compensation, but nobody took the job for the compensation. If you did, that would be most unusual. But we often say that about our police officers who dedicate themselves and their service and possibly their lives for us. And I think that's something that we should be very considerate of. So I'll end with that. But thanks.
Mr. President, if you mind.
Mr. Williams?
I think y'all most know my position. And I would say that while in writing, it is a part-time job. I agree with my colleague, Mr. Richardson. It is an absolute full-time job. We all knew this when we took it, maybe with the exception of Fred, that he's been on it, I guess, since it began. And really, that's a long time to be answering the call. And I've had two jobs in my life. One was in the Army and one has been on the city council. And neither one of them were for pay. I just ended up there and I've never thought about being paid to do them. And not that I could do without it. But we have a record number of people in our city and around this country who are unemployed and are facing devastating economic times. And while I hear all the arguments, and I am not disputing any of the facts that are being presented. I just believe it's horrible timing. It sends the wrong message. And I think that what we're being paid now is appropriate for the expenses that we incur. And if there were other things that we need to pay for, I would certainly entertain it. Now, I believe the mayor should get paid at least $225,000. I do believe it's that kind of job. It's absolutely full-time, and the mayor would probably argue that it is overflowing. And so while I would support the mayor separately, in this case, I just simply can't do it. And I thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any further discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
I may be the only council member who will not benefit from this as a council member because we can't vote ourselves a raise. The raise that we vote in is for the next group of council members, whether it be you all or somebody else. So I'm not speaking because I want a raise. I'm speaking because it is inconceivable for a person to serve 24 years and not receive a raise. I don't know of no person who works on any job 24 years and didn't receive a raise. That's really the life. A lot of jobs is 20 years and you can retire. That's the work lifespan of a person. So if not now, when? If not you, who? Say that to say this. You can increase it now, or you can wait 24 more years, 48 years, and try and get a raise. There's absolutely no doubt that you are deserving the raise that's on this agenda and more. If you were just going downtown and meeting, and that was the end until you met the next time, I can understand what my colleagues are talking about. But I know you're just like me. When you get your machines out, your emails is full. They are texting you, messaging you, Facebooking you, calling you, writing you. It's when I started out 24 years ago, the citizens didn't have no way of contacting me. They could call my office. They had absolutely no way of contacting me. So I was fancy free. I didn't have to answer nothing. Today, that is not true. That there is no rest for the weary. I'm up all through the night answering correspondence. You can't be part-time when the citizens elect you. You are on until the next election for 4 years. I double dog dare any of you to tell your citizen I'm part-time, I'm off duty now. I'll contact you later on when I get back on the clock and see how long you will stay on the city council. It's not going to happen. You're on all the time. I'm on in the grocery store. I'm on in the drugstore. I'm on in the park. Wherever I go, I'm on the clock. People stop me. If I get out of that car, I'm going to be confronted about real issues. And a lot of those issues, they want to know about. Last night, yesterday, I was contacted about Social Security. Man want me to get his check. I'm contacted about everything, and I act as a council member. I use my stationery. I don't care if it's a national issue. I write the president. It's nobody I won't contact on behalf of my citizens. Nobody. I had a lady was trying to go to the prison camp to see her daughter. They wouldn't let her in. I wrote the governor, and the governor arranged for the lady to go in. I know what I could have told that lady. I'm so sorry. I don't have nothing to do with prisons. I don't even have nothing to do with the Metro jail. No. Put it in writing to me. I got your back, and I acted. If we do our jobs, there's no rest for the weary. Give these council members a raise. I'm ready to vote. My vote is yes.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Manzi?
Yes, sir.
There are some council members tell their constituents they go on vacation and not to contact them at all, you know.
I'm not just. It's not Fred Richardson. It is not Fred Richardson.
Oh my God.
Any further discussion?
I don't think so.
If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
The measure passes with 5 votes in support and 2 in opposition.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
I want to know if this raise passed. Are they going to reject the money?
There is not a vote.
I think the public need to know if we vote this in, they're going
The
to take.
comments are out of order, and we need to get to the agenda.
Mr. Richardson, I understand your question, but
Okay.
we're out of discussion. We voted.
All right. Yes, sir.
We'll move on.
Yes, sir.
Madam City Clerk?
Okay, there are no objections. I'll take the remaining items together.
Please do.
You better take 6732 separately.
Agree.
Okay. 730.
732.
Okay, 732. All right. 08711, approved purchase order to Draeger Inc. for exterior live firefighting training system. 08712, approved purchase order to Target Solutions for annual license renewal for training, workforce management, and equipment inspection software. 08713, approved purchase order to Sand South for 2 John Deere tractors for parks maintenance. 21716, authorized contract with Train Inc. for VAV cleanout for Gulf Coast Explorium. 31718, amend the HUD Action Plan CDBG to allocate additional CARES Act funding. 37719, revoke, I'll take that one separate. 6731, approve recommendation to sell 2433 Ridge Road North.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
6731, approve recommendation to, 37713, revoke business license, 37719, revoke business license held by Deepwater Marketing for rooming boarding houses at 259, 261, and 263 South Broad Street.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Absent any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. 6732, urge the mayor to present a capital budget amendment which distributes capital funds equally among all 7 council districts.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you very much. If you'll notice, the first word is to urge the mayor. This council cannot direct, but we can certainly advocate and urge. With this idea, it was looking at the surplus funding, which turned out to be utilized at the point of $14.3 million for different capital projects, outlining 4 different district parks. In the past, all of our district park improvements were done by using CIP funding. That some council members were left out of that equation, it changed the dynamics of the split of money. I realize that there's no timeline for that, except for the essence of the Zogby bill that talked about the equal and equitable funding for each district as needs were noted. All of us have district parks in our locations. There isn't one, some have more, but others have bigger ones per se that are used by lots of people. And the idea that some did not get park money is something that I think should be troubling to this council. And I would hope that you would agree with your colleagues that sponsored this to urge the mayor to look at the resource of the surplus money and put it towards projects that are probably already identified. For my district, and I'll speak for District 6, there is one that has even been planned already. And so it's shovel ready, as that expression goes, but it's unfunded. So I was, when we did the budget, I was very focused on the CIP projects that were listed for District 6. And I worked with all of you, and I thank you for amending what was proposed. But in retrospect, looking at the use of the public funds that everyone contributed, the surplus, and going into park improvements, but not doing a park improvement in each district, changed significantly the idea that some were more important than needed surplus money, whereas they're all important, and every district should have had a park project with that surplus funds in order to keep our Zogby bill correct. So I hope that you will also remember, we're urging the mayor to do this. And I hope that you join us and the 2 sponsors that were left out. There is another district left out, and we urged him to also join. And that was certainly his prerogative to not be a sponsor, but to vote for this would mean a lot to each of us as a council member. And I can tell you assuredly, if your office was asking me to level the playing field and be fair and equitable, I would do the same for each of you. But that's where I'll leave it. And I hope that you'll join us in urging the mayor and that it will pass.
Mr. President,
Yeah, she was talking about, oh, my fault. Mr. Richardson.
yes. Let me just say that pretty much all of my life, I have been in a fight for what is fair. I'm opposed for anything that's not fair. I've been that way ever since I can remember myself. And it just so happened that that in the Zogby Act 11-44C-93, paragraph 3, it says that the mayor should distribute the money fairly, be fair. How are council members to believe they are treated fair when they are eliminated? I mean, how in the world am I to believe? I just believe that the mayor is fair. He has spent $14.1 million, and I just believe in my heart he's a fair man. He has divided the money up, and my district didn't get one dime, but somehow in there somewhere, I believe he is being fair. Our attorney used the Black's Law Dictionary, and it didn't say you could eliminate anybody in being fair. But he did raise the issue of a timeline. In my letter back to him, with a copy going to you all, my email, I said that the lawmakers who created the Zuckerberg Act understood what the timeline was. And as legislators, you do too. The time is whenever it appears on the agenda. That's when the time is. Whenever capital funds appear on this agenda, they ought to be distributed fair. Then I can wait every 2 years. I can wait every 5 years. That's a figment of somebody's imagination. That can be done. And the mayor did allude to Publix. What happened at Publix in Midtown was an incentive. Publix was not given 1 cent. Wasn't 1 dime given to Publix. It was the city's road, and the public asked the city to upgrade its road. So the citizens would be lined up trying to get over to the business, and they'd go somewhere else because they couldn't get there. He asked them to improve the infrastructure. If that weighted against me, what about the millions and millions of dollars we spent on Broad Street going to Brooklyn Field as incentive for Airbus? We spent millions of dollars improving the infrastructure, went all the way down to the river so they can unload their parts over on the river. We spent millions of dollars improving the infrastructure for Airbus in District 3 so they can get their parts under the interstate, around the bridge, going down Broad Street. We improved Broad Street tremendously all the way into the Airbus, up to the Airbus facility. Did nobody come back and say, I'm not giving this a dime because we improved? And we recruited businesses on Airport and Azalea Road in the shopping center over there. We had to improve the lights, the turning lane. We created a turning lane, put lights up there. Didn't nobody tell District 5, since we did that, you're not getting any funding. So 2016, the city did put $1 million into improving its own infrastructure. But the city's collecting about $2 million a year from Publix. You know how much we collecting from Airbus? None. I'm saying none of that was justification to eliminate District 1 from the 4.1 allocation. And all we're asking you all to do is join us in saying the allocation that the mayor made in this budget and distributing the $14 million was unfair. And for the, that's all we're asking you. But I will have on next week's agenda amendment of the ordinance because our attorney said, had the mayor said that the funding should be distributed fairly annually, then he could have ruled that the mayor should have distributed equal among all districts. And I'm asking him to add that to the ordinance, a timeline annually. So hopefully it'll be on the agenda and I'll see where we go with that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Richardson and Ms. Rich, I am the third council district that Ms. Rich alluded to earlier. It's my district, District 2. For if you look at the listing, my district did not receive considerable resources relative to a park project. But my district was also alluded to by Councilman Richardson when it comes to Broad Street, St. Louis Street, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. There are projects of great resource occurring in District 2 that deal with parks, that deal with sidewalks, that deal with streets. I'm conflicted in many respects because I understand where Mr. Richardson and Ms. Rich are coming from, but I also have heard the explanation from our finance director and the mayor. And then now I have, at Mr. Richardson's request, a legal opinion from our attorney that outlines his perspective as it relates to this subject matter. I'm seriously considering the ordinance that'll be on the agenda next week that will make it crystal clear the direction we want resources to go in. And that's pretty well my commentary. I've read what they're asking us to urge the mayor. And I don't believe even if all 7 of us were to urge him, we've passed the budget. And I'm not of the opinion that he's going to go back and reallocate. And I don't think if he did, anyone on here would like where the money would come from, because you would lose monies from your project, or Bess would lose the 1.5 million that she has slated in those resources for Nevius Road. And so we have an opportunity to build going forward in the future. We've passed the budget. Those items have been selected. And if we go back now and try to undo and take something from District 3 with Tremere Park, or something from Gina Gregory as relates to Lanyon Park, or if you come and try to get the $250,000 that's been allocated for the Heritage House out in Plateau, all of us are going to get up in arms about that. John's Park, I forget the name of it, but it's Mims. Who's going to want to go in and try to undo that? I think our best path forward is to have a clear understanding as we move forward to future budgets and future financial allotments, and that way we'll all be on the same page.
Can I comment, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think when you're comparing the projects that were funded with the surplus money, in the past, parks projects were isolated to all CIP funding. And that was looking at that extra penny tax and allocating it fairly to each district. The projects like Nevis or Broad Street, yeah, they each belong in a district borders, but none of them were to be funded through CIP, although there might be some planning money or whatever that might have come out. But there are fire stations that have been built and other programs that we decided were going into a big funding source. The parks is what was concerning to my office and to Mr. Richardson, in the sense that we're not asking that Nevis be stopped or that Tremere lose its funding. We just want equal and equitable, as fair as practical. And with the surplus money, since that's the funding we're talking about, that funding is well above the 44 million, which was the target for this administration, which I applaud. And they went far above that to operate for 2 months without having to worry about shutdowns, furloughs. And so the funding source is there. We're not asking to switch things in midstream. It is to make it equitable and fair by using a resource that normally went to parks, so that our CIP program, which we're all very proud of, and we all go around complimenting the city for having the funds available, meaning the administration, the staff, to get those programs done. But there were certain programs that were isolated to go strictly for CIP. And for the last number of years, we lived by that. So to see parks come out of surplus, saying that we're going to undo what the mayor decided was a good program for surplus, we're not asking for that. We're asking for additional funds to be added so that each council area has a park project, so as not to unlevel CIP, which again, those programs, I imagine, came out of CIP, but the mayor used the language that said, which was enlightening to me, that there were projects that did not have a funding source. Well, the parks had a funding source for the last number of years. So it's to urge the mayor to look at and respect this council and how it divvied up funding, and to not leave out some, or to move other projects to say you got funds for something else that was never part of the CIP program. I was never asked to do Nevis Road. That wasn't even anything that any staff member bought to me. But it's great that the city's going to match the county's program, like we match Ziegler, like we do with the other funds for Broad Street and Canal. We used the money that Mr. Richardson is talking about. That was the gasoline tax that came to the city for a 5-year running to do the resource to make it a good economic engine for Airbus. And so those are resources that everyone participates in, but our CIP funding had a direct correspondence to our city parks within our districts. And there were 3 left out. We should urge the mayor, when looking at the budget this year, that perhaps there was some misstep, and to look at not taking money away from the ones that are there, but making sure that everyone is made whole, fair, and equitable, because the resources are there and it's the right thing to do. So I can't say that Nevis Road would lose the money to go to the park, because it's apples and oranges.
Can we call?
Not doing the same thing, but there are council people that can do more things within their districts that other council people cannot do, because they got a funding source that was outside of the CIP. So that's why I'm asking you to urge the mayor.
Mr. Williams?
We call for the vote, please.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
I'll be brief. It is never wrong to do right. It is never wrong to do right. When they call for the vote.
I know I've got to walk out. Yeah.
When they call for the vote to abolish slavery, and Congress abolished slavery,
That's me.
many said no, but Congress voted anyway to abolish. You know how come? It's never wrong to do right. If the mayor, if I believe the mayor was trying to punish Fred Richardson, that's one thing. But to punish 30,000 citizens in District 1 is altogether another thing. It is never wrong to do what is right.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Huh?
Aye.
Aye.
So I hear 3 in support, all in opposition?
No.
Is we on mute? Madam City Clerk, how did you hear that? Are you on
You're
mute
on-
now? You failed.
You mute yourself.
Just do it again, Mr.
I have
Okay.
one no recorded. I have
Sure.
one no vote recorded.
All in favor, let it be known by the sound of aye.
Aye.
Oh man, all in opposition, let it be known by the same sign.
No. Aye.
So the item fails due to not having 5 votes.
Okay, I don't have who voted no other than Mr. Days.
Me.
Okay,
Me.
Mr. Oh, okay.
And so it's 3 and 3. Who's the
Oh
fourth?
no. Oh, I'm going to consider the item for next week, but I'm not in support of the item today.
Okay.
3 to 4.
Okay. Essential COVID items being introduced for the first time, 64033 through 03771.
Motion for immediate consideration of items 03739, 31756, 37757, 37758, 4759 through 47768, 58769, and 03771, and the remainder hold over 1 week pursuant to
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
03739, appoint Robert Adams to the Mobile Police Citizens Community Relations Advisory Council. 31756, authorize a grant application to the State of Alabama Healthcare and Emergency Response Provider COVID-19 Relief Grant Program. 31757 and 758 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license to Toots Convenience Store, and for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license for Strategic Solutions and Services on Azalea Road. 4761, 60, 761, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66 are declaring the structures at 605 Hickory Street, 624 Crawford Lane, 1164 Fry Street, 1204 Texas Street, 1365 Congress Street, 104 Dolphin Street, 1305 South Ann Street, public nuisances and ordering them demolished. 47767, sent to the vacation, I'm reading that one, those separate. 58769, assessed cost for removal of weeds, repeat weed lien group 41, and 03771, appoint George Hunter to the Mobile Library Board.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
4759, declare the structure at 324 Lexington Avenue a public nuisance and order it demolished.
Move delay over 60 days.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
47767 and 47768 are assenting to the vacation of a portion of South Conception Street west of Metro Jail and to vacation of a portion of St. Emmanuel Street east of Metro Jail.
Move to lay over 2 weeks.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did everybody vote?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Announcements.
Mr. Richardson.
I would like to announce that, well, immediately, I guess we'll probably take a 5-10 minute break.
I'm out at 2:33.
Huh?
Thank you.
We're going to have the entire committee will be in session after that. I would also like to say that I looked up some information on this stretcher business, and they have an aluminum construction a stretcher that is aluminum alloy construction, automatic loading, vehicle locking, all for $895. So next week I would like to have more information on that and how they come up with $26,000.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, no announcements?
I believe he is.
Okay, Ms. Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just thank everybody again for agreeing to be a part of the thank you billboards as well as the tourism incentive. I think the tourism incentive part is very important, that we continue to bring people back to Mobile. This is a time of year when we don't have many tourists in town. So we certainly hope that this will provide some incentive for these folks at the power companies to come visit us and be here when the weather's not bad. And we are certainly hoping that the current hurricane does not hit us and cause more damage. Maybe it will just fizzle out as it makes landfall and not do the kind of damage that certainly fear it could do. Also, in thanking everyone, I want to make sure to thank Susan Kangle with Lamar. She is one of the main people who has helped us set up these billboards. She got some great rates. She was on the Facebook posting that Jeb Shell initially put out. She came on board immediately, said, hey, I want to be a part of it. I want to help. So many thanks to her, of course, Jeb, Carol Hunter, David Clark, and other residents who had contacted me about wanting to say thank you. Bradley Sanders is another one. He had asked about doing a resolution, which of course we did last week. So thanks to everybody. Appreciate all of that. And something else that's just a nice thing going on. If you have not seen the Facebook post about Oscar, the blind blue tick hound that's owned by Jen Green, one of our own city employees. He is up for the Good Dog contest by Garden and Gun magazine. Ah, there, look, there is Oscar. I had asked Jen if she could do an appearance, so there she is. Oscar is blind, and he is just, as Jen puts it, the goodest boy ever. So if you have not voted, go and vote. I've heard that you can use every device in the house. So if you have 4 or 5 devices, make use of them and go ahead and vote. I think voting goes through Friday. And Oscar is neck and neck with another dog named Hank. And we definitely want Jen and Oscar to come in first place. It will be really nice for Mobile and of course for rescues like Oscar to win this contest. So that was just a nice little thing I wanted to share, and the mayor put it in his newsletter last night. So hopefully that's getting some good traction. And that's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory. And we're proud of Oscar. In District 2, he's a great dog. He hadn't let adversity stop him. He's good and healthy, as we can see. Even with him not having the ability to see, he's making it to the dog bowl. So let's go and support Oscar. And thank you, Jen Green, for all that you do. Mr. Williams.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Ms. Rich.
Thank you very much. Make sure, yes, I'm good. And I have voted numerous times. If you use the same device, it tells you when you can return. So using others will give you more votes for Oscar. And speaking of dogs, I've been getting a lot of phone calls from users of the Julian Marks Dog Park at Medal of Honor. And unfortunately, the large size is locked because of tree damage and trees that they're just not on the ground. They're partially hanging, and it's very dangerous. So rightfully so, it cannot be used. But the rules have not changed, and that is the small side is open, and that's lucky for them. But please don't bring your large dog over to the small side, because there have been a lot of tanglements, and it's not a good blending of dogs. Unfortunately, people have literally been hurt. So we are asking people to abide by the rules. If you're up there with your large dog and didn't realize, just walk with your dog in the park. If it, you can still have your dog in the park, but under your control. And please do not go on the small side, because we've had it separated for years by weight. And it's very important, because their socialization with large dogs, it doesn't work very well. So again, that's something that has come to my attention. I know the parks are aware of it. And because we have another pending storm, hopefully, as Ms. Gregory said, not coming to us, is our prayers. But it's certainly, we're going to move trees off the streets and in rights of way before we clear it off of the dog park. So it might be a while. And I hope that people will be respectful. It's just real important to respect the rules at all times. No aggressive dogs, and keeping the dogs to the correct side of the park. And unfortunately, the large is closed to my knowledge. And as soon as I learn about any timeline, I will keep people informed. I'm sure the city will as well. And again, just keep those prayers coming about Delta, which I don't want to welcome people later that had to come and turn us back on. So I hope that we've had our one experience, and the people that came in were fabulous and got us back online, so that we could continue to keep celebrating here in Mobile. But we don't need this next one coming our way. So, but be prepared no matter what. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Rich. Mr. Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just encouraging all the citizens of Mobile and surrounding area, especially the ones in District 3, to make sure that they keep an eye on this particular storm that's heading our direction for the safety. Make sure that they keep, watching the news, social media, et cetera, to make sure they can stay abreast of what's going on. But most important is stay safe. And also, if you have any questions about, debris, if you think the city had forgotten about you, like I said, I've received several phone calls where people have stated they believe that the city have forgot about them, which I don't believe the city have. But if you have any concerns about that, just please dial 311 and just report that, and just get your SRO number for your tracking number. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Daves?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to jump on something that the Vice President said. I've gotten a number of inquiries from constituents about when the trash in front of their yard is going to be picked up. And I go back to what the mayor said. They've been working, the city employees and the contractors have been working hard. They're about 50% through. New stuff keeps getting stacked out there on the streets. And I would just urge everybody to be patient. It will all be picked up in time. If it makes anybody feel any better, the trash on my street hadn't been picked up. But I would just urge patience. Our city employees are working just as hard as they possibly can. They've done a fabulous job, but there's a lot of debris out there, and it's just going to take some time to get it all up. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I concur. I'm getting on my weekly ask of what can I do for you. I'm getting reminded of these piles, and I want to just add my street amongst the streets that the piles are ever growing larger and larger. And some of that they add to the pile outside my house didn't come from Sally. And you know who you are. I wish I had And so, so don't do that. That's not nice. So they feel they're gonna come and get mine because where it is, the pile is taller than I am, and it's getting taller every day. Sally's been gone. So that pretty well concludes all of my announcements. I want to thank all of our hardworking city employees. I don't think we can say that enough, how hard our employees from police and fire to secretaries, the clerks, down to public works, up to public works. In order for our city to function, we need each and every one of those hardworking employees. And you do an outstanding job. And I'm proud to be associated with the city of Mobile. That concludes my announcements. Any further commentary?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Wait, Mr. President, let's say, we're going.
There's a motion on the floor.
And in 10 minutes, we're gonna come back.
You're going to adjourn for 10 minutes, and then the entitlement committee will be ready to meet. Motion on the floor. We have a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
John, Strope, can we just stop this one on YouTube, please? And then we'll pick back up for the public.
Hey, who's on the entitlement committee?